Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us on a bright Saturday morning. And so this is the second of 5 episodes of Conversation Next. This monthly conversation is an initiative by Tribe Digital Campus, the flagship online platform curated for you by Business Events Sarawak and Conference People and Event Agency. So for those who have if this is your first time joining us, you might be wondering why Saturday? I can sleep in. But our research has told us that perhaps during the week, now that most of us are returning to work or have returned to work, they find it much harder to focus during the week when it comes to education. So we've hoped that this Saturday or the Saturdays that we have Conversation Next, that you'll be open, and hopefully that will trigger or spark some new ideas as we are Covet transitioning. So today's topic is Sarawak is open for business. So of course, being so practical and very, we're all about business, right? In this region, we want to know when the business will return. However, is our destination ready for the new kind of business inquiries? That is the biggest questions. So to our participants today, perhaps you could walk away with some crucial information that could help you further plan or act on your business over the next 6 months. And this information could be understanding what sort of support there are out there, whether it's from the Ministry of Tourism, Business Events Sarawak, or even from your fellow associates within the association, industry associations. Also, you might be able to gain insights to help you understand perhaps what are some of the new expectations. But I'd like to kick off today with some sound bites in terms of the trends that's happening, that happened over the past 2 weeks. And at the moment, we are monitoring trends every 2 weeks because, as you know, business change or situation changes. So this week, quite interestingly, Damien Bruce, who is a highly respected incentive travel professional that has been based across Asia Pacific, and now he's based in Greece. On LinkedIn, he shared some advice or recommendation when it comes to the future of incentive travel planning or even corporate meetings. For example, instead of being in destination and going to 3 cities, he's encouraging people to first consider 1 so that you can spend more quality time together instead of worrying about travel logistics. So that will enhance safety elements. And also, he also encourages to travel less and spend more time together. So for example, it could be taking over a venue for half a day and do 2 to 3 elements within that same precinct or destination or venue. Third, there's something that we already know, buyouts. Some destinations have been receiving exclusive buyouts requests, whether it's resorts or island or cruise. So these are some of the ways that event planners are trying to ascertain what is the best way to maintain safety and hygiene for their delegates. I think most importantly, his 4th point is about planning events. He said that event planners are so needed at the moment because if you can plan like the way a presidential event is happening with the eye for detail for safety and for the response know-how, then you'll be needed when the industry comes back, because as we all are predicting, when the industry comes back, it's going to be thick and fast. So we hope that you're ready. So we have 4 lovely industry leaders joining us this morning. I'd like to briefly introduce them, and then I'll talk you through what's going to happen today. So we have Mr. Hee Chang-Hee, and he's the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture, Sarawak. Welcome, Mr. Hee. We also have the effervescent Miss Amelia Rosamond, Acting CEO of Business Events Sarawak, a familiar face to many. Perhaps, and also a familiar face to many, will be Gracie Kiki, and she's the chair of MASIOS. For those who are not familiar, what MASIOS is the Malaysian Association of Convention and Exhibition Organizers and Suppliers, and she focuses on strategic planning in the East Malaysian region. Of course, we also have the lovely and bubbly Mark Venia, and she is the Honorary Secretary of the Malaysian Association Tour and Travel Agents in the Sarawak chapter. And Mark will be focused on corporate incentive travel and corporate groups during our conversations. So for those who have joined us in the first episode, you have witnessed some digital or technical glitch that is beyond our control. So to make sure that you are having a smoother experience, that is if your home internet allows for it, we have designed today's session just a little bit different so that our conversation is your viewing pleasure is not interrupted on our conversation. We have pre-recorded our conversation, and that is the first part of today's session. Then we'll come back to some live Q&A. So audience, if you are familiar with this platform, you should know where the Q&A box is. So as you're watching the video playback, please start asking questions. So when we come back for our 20 minutes live Q&A, you can put all these experts on the spot and ask them the very difficult questions. So let's do that. So without further ado, team, can we please have the video? There are three parts to our conversations today, and the first part focuses on Tribe Sarawak working together. My first question is to Mr. He. Mr. He, how important is tourism and business events to Sarawak, and how has your ministry been supporting the industry in its recovery?
Now, tourism and business events definitely plays a very important contribution to the socio-economic development in Sarawak. And that's why government set up Sarawak Convention Bureau in 2006 to spearhead the development of MICE industry in Sarawak. Actually, last year, we have brought in about 99 business events with about 40,000 delegates, 120,000 delegate days, and a direct delegates expenditure of about 122 million Malaysian ringgit. Of course, besides the economic impact, I think business events enable the transfer of knowledge from experts to local champions, business and trade opportunities, expansion of global alliance with many sectors like medical, like education, technology, agriculture, science, and many other industries. So that's why it's very important sector to Sarawak. Now, of course, this COVID-19 has dampened a lot of our efforts. A lot of events are cancelled or postponed. So, but the state government is still behind the business events industry. Actually, the State Disaster Management Committee has followed very closely with what has been allowed by federal. That's why we've been allowing business activities like business events to operate since beginning of July, following very closely the SOP by the Majlis Keselamatan Negara. So, apart from that, of course, we, in the second quarter, after the COVID-19 pandemic starts, we actually have worked together with all the agencies under our ministry, including Sarawak Convention Bureau, Sarawak Tourism Board, to revise our strategic and tactical plan with a very strong focus on how to mitigate, how to recover, to conserve our existing resources and continue to secure more biddings, more business for Sarawak. Besides the announcement by federal on assistance and incentives under Prihatin Rakyat, under Penjana, the state government has its own incentive packages as well under the Sarawaku Sayang Special Assistance Packages as the economic stimulus package during the economic slowdown. Some of the assistance for the industry players across the board includes like discounts on our land rent, our assessment rates, our land premiums, even discount on utility bills, waiver of license fees, and so on. Of course, also we have micro credit scheme from our Ministry of Industrial Development through the State Economic Development Council, SEDC, and also 6 months interest-free loan from a few commercial banks. And in middle of June, actually, our ministry has a special event, and we call it Sarawak Reopens for Business. And during that event, actually, we offered through Sarawak Convention Bureau special support packages for business events industry. One of it will be business events planners incentivized package. The other one will be homegrown conventions and exhibition seed fund. And these packages actually aim to motivate our BE industries in Sarawak to move on during this difficult time. And we extend it from 2020 until 2022. So those are the things that government was doing to support the industry. Of course, long-term, Sarawak government has recently established Sarawak Economic Action Council, or we call SEAC, where we have been tasked to lead the tourism cluster, where business events definitely is continuing to be a focus sector, which is very pivotal for us to spur activation and recovery economy from 2021 to 2030 for Sarawak. And we'll continue for these long-term efforts into our 12 Malaysia plans, where a lot of our proposals will be focusing on our strategy to boost the sector reactivation in terms of digitalization, in terms of incentives for the industry, capacity building for the industry, and definitely destination marketing and promotion. So these are what we have done from the Sarawak State Government to help to support the business events industry during these difficult times. But I think we are positive, we move on together with the business industry players.
Thank you, Mr. He. This is very insightful, because what I was quite glad to hear is that you are solely focused on business events, because more often than not, you know, on your ministry with so many portfolios, we tend to drive towards that tourism conversation. What is also great is the fact that you talk a little bit about post-COVID and long-term, because I think as industry, we have a lot of small to medium-sized businesses who obviously at the moment are focused to the immediate to short term, even to mid-term to a certain extent. And to be able to hear long-term plans is particularly, I guess, hopeful that the government is heavily invested in our industry. Over to you, Amelia. Amelia, you know, obviously recently you announced that Sarawak is open for business. So congratulations with all this new initiative that Mr. He talked about, and even you spoke about at the event. And your marketing campaign is called Tribe Legacy Sarawak. Now, we hear that the skies are open, but we want to get some clarity of what country or state within Malaysia can fly into Sarawak, and what restrictions travelers should be aware of, and what are the conversations that you are having at the moment with the relevant departments to open up Sarawak further to more countries.
Well, thank you, Elle. Well, during this challenging time, the borders of Sarawak and throughout Malaysia are still closed. However, there are a few initiatives that are in place to state that we are ready. Through the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak, this is where Mr. He is the leader. We are working closely with the Sarawak Disaster Management Committee in collaboration, for example, with airlines and with airports. The committee also approved our SOP, which will now use hand in hand with the reactivation guideline for organizing business events in Sarawak. This has allowed our business event partners such as venues, accommodation, professional conference organizer, and business event management companies, to name a few, to operate with strict compliance to the SOPs too. Besides a stronger collaboration with the major stakeholder through our government and business event partners, we are in constant contact with our business event planners to update and to assist them in any way possible to ensure the safety and success of their event. In fact, part of our incentive packages that we recently launched are Value Booster, which includes pre-preparation for the travel, such as travel advisory information to the business event planners, and template of the delegate travel advisory for business event planners communication purpose. During the actual event itself, we will also provide delegate and business event planners wellness pack. All of these are on complimentary basis.
So I assume that they can really have a conversation with your team members so that they can access the latest information in terms of whether, you know, when is it opening up, some of the processes that international event planners needs to be aware of.
Definitely, yes.
Okay, I remember from your session, the one that Business Event Sarawak ran, one of the unique DNAs of Sarawakian, you call it tribe spirit. Can you explain a little bit about tribe spirit and why is that a core attraction to international events?
Well, under the recently launched brainchild, Tribe Legacy Sarawak campaign, one of the important components is tribe spirit. So tribe spirit is going to motivate the industry to forge stronger collaboration within the business event and non-business event industry. We know that now is not a time for us to work in silos. Therefore, it is a must to collaborate. So this movement is for everyone. It promotes positivity and togetherness to show what industry has done to the community while highlighting the true Sarawakian hospitality. We acknowledge that business events are all about people. We also know that to ensure the success of any event, it takes the whole city to make it happen. So this is how tribe spirit should be. For international business L, besides talking about international standard facilities and services, we are going beyond that. For example, last month we gathered data from a survey with various organizations such as venues, professional conference organizers, and destination management companies, to name a few. They revealed that they have created added value packages for planners, such as discounts, waiving event cancellation fees, and increasing the workforce for sanitization activities. That's another show of tribe spirit, because it's not just about the convention bureau to welcome and to support the planners, but the government and the industry partners equally put a strong effort in welcoming and supporting the planners too. You know, there are so many examples of tribe spirit that I am not able to share here, but my recommendation to the business event planners out there is to bring your business event to Sarawak and experience it for yourself. And I hope that you will see what Sarawak is really made of for business event. It is truly our people. Thank you, Elle.
Yeah, no, I agree, because the tribe spirit of Sarawakians, like, you have to be there to really experience and believe it. You know, I remember my last trip to Sarawak, and I was so impressed, especially when we went for the music festival. Wow, that was such an experience. Now, you say earlier that industry partners are important. Now, I would like to channel the attention to our industry association, Mata and Masios. We have got Gracie and Mok joining us. Hello, ladies. Now,
hi.
Okay, so what I really want to know is, how is the industry doing? Because obviously from the government representation, everything sounds really positive, and packages and supporting funds are there to support them. So how are they doing, and how are they, what support did you as industry associations give as part of their recovery?
For Masios, our members, I think, as I've mentioned as well, is that after the initial shock for everyone was what next and what do we do. So I think in the case for our members, what they wanted to know was what next, what's going to happen, is our future, at stake. So I feel that the association gathered all the ground information, if you may say. I must say, for a lot of people, it was like really, it's never happened before, so it's the first time, even for me, having gone through other disasters. This has been really an experience. So even for Masios is close to 30 years old, and we've not had this kind of crisis. And the important factor was for us to keep our members very informed about what's happening and what Masios is doing. And the most important thing was actually to keep speaking to the government and keep telling them what are our issues and what, because as you know, business events, people know MICE, but business events is still like pretty new for the whole industry, including the government. So I think it was like quickly telling them, but this is going to happen, this is the impact. So we dealt with it as we came along, And I think we gave the information timely, so that the decisions or whatever measures that the government was going to be announced would take into consideration the members' issues. Of course, we all know that we can't please everybody and have every member's wish being answered, but I think generally that's the strength of our industry through the association, that we are able to pass the information very fast and saying this is what is happening, this is what will happen. But nevertheless, I think for us, especially in Sarawak, we are in the best of both worlds. We have our federal government to handle and give all the broad rules and guidelines, and I think with Mr. He, we've set for many hours, Mr. He, we've set for many hours going through guidelines that will be suitable for Sarawak, because we're different. As you mentioned, we have outdoor events that can cater up to 20,000 people, and that's not allowed. So what do we do next? Do we cut everything, or how do we compromise? So I think that's important for us as members of the industry to understand. Number one, things will change. It's not going to be like before. We're not going to be behaving like before, and we've got to adapt and start. Even our business model has to change. And I think for members that we've had, as you know, we've had so many webinars and circulars, newsletters, articles, telling people how to adapt to the new normal. And I think that's very important. And
Gracie,
for myself, I think it's more important.
Gracie, I have one more question for you. How, because Malaysia is so big and you have many states, and MASIOS is a national association for the industry. So what were the challenges in terms of working with all the different states and different needs and different personality to gather enough information to approach government?
What was good is that, as you know, MASIOS, we have, of course, they always call the headquarters is in Kuala Lumpur. We are very fortunate in that we have our East Malaysia region. So I'm chair for Sarawak, and we have Sabah. And we also have the southern region, which is Johor, and we have Penang. And then we have, I think, other states are coming in to have, we call it regions rather than chapters. So all our issues from the ground here, from our members and from the industry, will channel forward to the association. And with that, this will be compiled. And this is exactly what we did. We compiled and dealt with directly with the government. And we've had a few, we deal with MITI, Matrade, and basically our Tourism Malaysia and MySEP. So I think it's not just an isolated one association. It's actually a few branches of us that have our ears to the ground, that is feeding the information and the issues that come around from this. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. I would like to ask Mok a question. What is MATA's members saying at the moment? How have you supported as an association? How have you supported the members? Have you witnessed any new innovation? Because obviously international business may not come back that soon. What are people doing in the interim to make ends meet?
Oh, I think I agree with Gracie. Like MATA, likewise, like MASIOS, we cannot be independent by ourselves. We are all linked together. And long ago, MATA were not aware of BE, which is business event. But now, you know, being a travel operator or a travel planner, it is not solely just travel. It is travel with festival, with food, you know, and with events and activities. It is all tie up together like a package. So, well, this pandemic is a real wave that hits everyone throughout, every countries. So when we suffer, I think the first few months, people is like complaining and yelling, you know, and felt so bad that the association can't do much. But let me share it with you. We are all swimming, we are all struggling, we all are the same. So why don't we just put all our hands together and put our head together and move on. We struggle, but we will pull through, because this is not just Malaysia. It's about the whole world.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
So
are
we
they
are to motivate in a way, like give some positive ideas to the members. We can feel the members, because I'm one of the members too. You know, I have a staff problem as well. After this is the balance of whether is retrenchment or they resign themselves. And the next thing is the minimum wage or subsidies program.
Yes.
So all the business owners are just juggling among these things. But however, if we try to think like how the others survive, I think I sincerely want to advise those who can survive through this. You will be the new victory for next year, 2021 onwards.
Yeah, I think that there is a saying, we become more creative when facing adversity. So within Mata or even Marcios, Gracie, feel free to jump in if you have examples. Have you witnessed any innovation, any company or agencies that have changed their business model to make do in the meantime? Any examples at all? Or even any suggestions?
Yeah, and in the case of Marcios, I think we've gone, definitely there will be events, especially the expositions that will go virtual. But there's also a very, in my case, as a professional conference organizer, I would be looking at conferences and hybrid as well. And just last week, I think it was just last week, 25th, where in Marcios in KL did a sample of how the new exhibition is going to look like, how a conference is going to be conducted, and this was done in one of the major convention centers, and that really gave not just the members, it was open to everyone to come in and have a look and say, hey, it's not too bad after all. It actually is more comfortable because you're not cramping against each other. It's actually more comfortable. It's done over a seamless pace where not everybody rushes to the gate. So I think there's been a lot of good that's come out of it. It's allowed us to rethink. And I think also it's allowed a lot of us business people that we can't take a lot of things for granted. And I think before, yes, we've had to be lean and mean, but we found that we could still be productive. It's just a matter of how we restructure our business model. So I think we're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay. Mark, any example from your creative travel agencies?
We're just trying to say, throughout Malaysia, I think the travel operator now are doing all sorts of things just to keep themselves survive. Meanwhile, they are just like no travel transactions around, even though we are trying very hard to promote tour to the seaside, and to caving and things like that. But nothing can be run. Instead, we have travel agents who started to sell Mausan King durian, and they started to be personal shopper. Okay, they shop for people, and they are post rider. They help out the post laju people to actually lighten the parcel that is backlogged at the post office. And also beside that, a lot of them are doing alternative thing like teaching people how to do like making cakes, and things like that. Yeah, so I think they discover their talents during this period of time when that is the only way to actually get them out from what negative thinking that they have.
I agree with you, Mark. I think, keep doing things is important because it keeps you positive and productive and being useful. What I absolutely love about what you say earlier, I'm sure Mr. He will agree with me, that every example you gave, you mentioned the word people. People are still doing people business, helping, whether it's parcel, selling durian, baking cakes, and so forth, because during the time of uncertainty, we just have to do whatever it takes, but also rely on our passion. But it's so great to hear that people are still passionate about people instead of just going, you know what, I'm going to do computer coding. So this is what I absolutely love. We've come to the third part because team spirit in Malaysia is everything. It is that really path the success, because obviously we have got government investment. They invested a lot of money into our industry to make sure that it flourish and continue to. So how would you, to any our panelists at all, and we have all panelists screen at the moment. So how would you describe the team spirit in Malaysia for anyone who has never been to Malaysia before?
Okay, sorry for that. Now, as I said, through this pandemic, as a rep in the government, I think when we work through with the various agencies like Ministry of Health on the SOPs, National Security Council SOPs, and we found that actually the industry players themselves, they have not given up, but actually they work with us very closely. It is so heartening to see how the entire industry supply chain, like Mata, like Masios, and all the industry players has come together as one and work in solidarity actually to proactively engage with the government and all the NGOs to establish necessary SOPs, to think out the box by using the digital resources now at hand to enhance our existing business models. So I think this sort of team spirit exists in Malaysia, in Sarawak, with our multiracial, complex society, but we live peacefully together just because we have tolerance, we try to understand each other, and most importantly, we try to live together as a society. So I think this team spirit should go on, despite the challenging times. We think out the box, we use new models like what Mok has mentioned. Creativity plays a part in this. And Sarawak welcomes everybody back. That's why our tagline is Sarawak, more to discover.
El, I just want to add to what Mr. He have just mentioned.
Yes, Mok.
Yeah, actually our teamwork is very good. We are very cohesive among whether it's government, GLC, semi-government or private. In addition to promotions, in fact, MTech and STB have actually helped the private sector up to create this package called Sia Sitok. And this is a package where, even though now we know it's kind of like RMCO, but they can pre-purchase the package at a slash of 50%. For example, like Bulu National Park, luxuries excursion package, they can just pay 50%, but they will enjoy the full package. They can utilize the package at the later month. Need not necessarily must be July, or August. So they can use it probably at September and October to actually feel and explore local destination, because there's a lot of Sarawakian, which is local. We have never been to a lot of places. So this is actually a good time for local domestic tourism to promote tourism. And MTech have actually helped us a lot by grouping us together as a consortium. So we can actually take turns to actually sell this package, but this package is really cheap. For example, like kayaking, it's only cost you probably like 50 or 60 ringgit. You can do a kayak, which is normally cost you about 198, so it's actually a very good deal.
Yep, great suggestion. We should all explore in the area that we live in so we get to know it better. And most importantly, for any of our industry friends who are listening to us at the moment, if you're living in Sarawak, turn on your social media. As you explore, tell the story, because there are many examples out there where tour guides, for example, are using their Facebook, and that's how they got some revenue stream, because people are missing a particular destination. They're asking tour guides to go to certain places for them, just for them. Can you look at this view for me, and things like that, and get to share it. So social media is definitely very powerful, and it is through social media that we can really show our unity and the way we can work with the destination. I also feel that, through social media, we can always explain, whether it's our tribe spirit or, no, this is the way Sarawakians are, this is how it is done. I guess don't assume that everybody knows Sarawakians very well. You know, how we behave, how we interact, whether we are more shy or whether we are like, yeah, we've got nothing to hide, let's go for it, let's try and let's have fun. So it is a good chance to really show the personality, but the most important part is actually to really dip into your own passion, see what it is, and then see how we can share that story. What do you think, Amelia? Do you like my suggestion?
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's pretty much in line with, you know, Tribe Legacy Sarawak campaign and Tribe Spirit. So, you know, and, you know, I think Mr. He also mentions about our state campaign for leisure tourism, which is to rediscover Sarawak, more to rediscover. Is that Mr. He?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty much in line. So we work closely with Sarawak Tourism Board when it comes to promoting the destination. But, you know, when it comes to winning the business, you know, like focusing on the economic impact and the legacy impact of the business event, this is where the Tribe Legacy Sarawak campaign coming in. Yeah. And then, Elle, just to answer on your question regarding the collaboration earlier, well, you know, of course, we welcome any collaboration, regardless it's from the government, international, national, private sector, or any industry players or non-industry players. But what we're really looking at is that it's not just a discussion collaboration. We want that collaboration to be converted into something that's fruitful, meaningful, and something that we can implement and harvest together. Yeah. So that sort of collaboration, we welcome it with the open arm, and come and see us and let's talk.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I think even though everything seems to be not happening or on a standstill at the moment, we should not take the time that we have now for granted. Perhaps we can think about how can we plan for the future, because one thing I know for sure is when there is a vaccine and people are ready to return, it will come back very, very fast. One of the first question any international visitor will ask is, what is new? So if you don't use this time to explore, to plan, to talk about, hey, let's create a new experience, whether it's virtual, hybrid, or anything like that, another destination will be able to stand out if they have done their homework. So it doesn't mean that we cannot sit on our laurels, we can rest, but let our minds be active again, because I think the effort it takes to open up a destination, as you can see and you can hear from our panelists, is not easy, because it's about policy making around people's safety, because you don't want to be a destination to be spreading the virus. You want to be a destination that people feel safe when they come and visit you. So trial and practice everything. For example, the hybrid event that we have, or the virtual event that we have today, you know, it's a different format. We can have a recorded session now so that you can have a more enjoyable digital experience that is uninterrupted through internet failures, and then a live Q&A where you can really ask questions and interact. So this is an opportunity, but does this format work for every event? No, because in business events, we know that no event is the same, and there isn't a perfect event order. So I'm sure our panelists will join in. If you can have your last word of advice to what would you tell people to get ready for the recovery? What would you advise them to do? Panelists?
Can I start first?
Yes, Gracie, please do.
Okay. What I want to tell our friends out there and our business partners is that life's got to go on. There's not going to be a stop to everything, and that we're going to move on. It's just that we're going to be a bit more, we're going to have a few more things in place. Maybe I can't hug you anymore and say, hey, you know, but still I can, like, you know, give you other forms of greeting. But I think the most important, and I want to echo this, team synergy. I think it's important that we we have it here, especially in Malaysia. I think because we're so multicultural and that we tend to understand a lot of cultures better, maybe, and that we are able to adapt quite easily to requirements, or when the client says, can you give me something that's out of this world that I won't find in my country? And we definitely will. So we are now already, this is not sitting around doing nothing. In fact, I have to say that this is the best time for us and for a lot of our members as well, is that we're sitting back, going back to the drawing board, looking back at, what we did before, that was simple, and, that we have discarded maybe. And these are the things I think that will come back. And the synergy of it is that we have all the people available. I think we have our industry partners, we have the government, we have the federal side, we have the states, and our clients move from one state to another, and I think a good reference from each other helps.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Gracie. Thank you. Mark, any advice from your side?
Yeah, Elle, I think I agree with the drawing board, but I fully think that we have to redraw whatever thing on the drawing board, have to modify a bit and redesign because of the SOP and things like that. And I think on top of that, during this period of time, we have to study more, because we have to use the new digitalized technology. It's actually a good time to learn more about this, so that we'll be very good when we come on to it, and we can be at that stage comparing with other events in other destinations, But that we just have to keep on telling people that, make use of your time. That few months of crying, you get tired already, like big babies, You've been crying for 3 months, or no more crying now. Okay, you have to start crawling. Although it is hard, so you have to crawl, and then you have to start and try to stand up and things like that.
Yeah. And I think that it's good to be in a child mindset again, because I find that when working with children, they are fearless. They will jump, they will fall, they will laugh, So I think adopting technology is not about being able to code a website, but is actually to gain their understanding of how to make sense of the digital world. And then when you have the finances, employ those who are great at digital and get them to get actions done, because we know that without strategy, no digital platform will work.
That's right.
And don't have the fear. I think because all rules are broken already, and it's just to move forward, like you say, and try to the very best we can. Amelia, any advice from your side before we finish with Mr. He? Sorry, Mr. He, ladies first, right? Yes,
Okay, no worries.
All right. Well, I think that there's two things that I would like to highlight over here. The first one is that, when Monk mentioned about creativity. So, creativity, it's not about making things beautiful, making things look, great as it is. I think it's about solving a problem that you have. So that's one of the characteristics of creativity that really works in this situation of time. So, as what Madam Gracie said, we are not able to organize an event like we used to, but that's the beauty of it. We get to be creative and make a difference, think differently. For example, international Congress do not have to be in one destination anymore. The main session can be in anywhere part of the world, but the regional hub or the Asia Pacific hub, it can be in anywhere in Asia Pacific. It can even be in Kuching, for any matter. So the second thing is that I want to talk about is, we can never say we are from the Bureau. We can never say that we totally understand what the industry are going through now, because we are not in their shoes. But what we know that, we are all in the same storm, except that we're in a different boat. So, like on our side, we help the best we can, directly or indirectly, to ensure that, PE sector will still stick together. Being together, be in the same picture together, going through things together. So I hope that moving forward, you know, the same approach, you know, like not just for the Bureau to take, but I think it's also for any other government or organization and even private sector to take up that, you know, collaboration is all what we get now. Yeah.
Great advice. Thank you very much. Mr. He, your turn. Give us some wise words.
Yes, thank you, Amelia, Mok, and Gracie. I think all of you have very encouraging words, especially as a representative of the government. I think we'll continue to listen, right? We'll continue to listen and work with the industry players. And most importantly, I think we have to work together, be it the industry players, the government. I think we need to be ready to boost the confidence for people, for visitors, for business events, participants to return to Sarawak. As we know, Sarawak, we still have a lot to discover. And actually, we have launched an event together with the industry players to rediscover yourself in Sarawak. So we hope tomorrow will be better.
Great. Thank you so much. I cannot believe that 40 minutes and time has just flown. And so right now we will go over to our live Q&A. I hope all our panelists will be ready for some tough questions, I'm sure the audience have for us. There are three parts to our conversation. Well, what about that? I hope you enjoyed the pre-recorded session. So first of all, I would like to thank all the audience for submitting very, very interesting questions. At the moment, under the Q&A panel, we already have 10 questions. So we hope that within the next 15 or 20 minutes, we'll be able to cover that as much as possible. So let's open the questions to our panelists, please. I would like to start with Mr. He. Mr. He, there is a question by Mr. Wee TZ, asking you, what is the government's backup plan if the current investment to support the industry is undermined by continuous waves of COVID that prevent our borders from opening? That is a great question.
Oh, hi, yeah. Of course, the government will continue to monitor the situation. But as of now, I think we have tried to shift our focus. If the border is not opening yet, we will shift our focus, like what we are doing now, to domestic market. And even though a lot of these conventions or meetings have been cancelled, but we encourage the event planners to postpone it rather than cancellation. So we have encouraging results. Like last year, actually, only 2 events were cancelled. So we'll continue to support them. I'll tell them that once the borders are reopened, Sarawak is coming back to business. And at the same time, of course, through Tourism Board and Convention Bureau, we will continue to work out incentives and packages. Actually, for your advanced information, we are going to launch a Siasi Talk in Sarawak language is going here and there. It's a domestic package. 50% of the fees will be subsidized. So things like that, I think we'll keep on continuing, like Convention Bureau for business event planners, our homegrown seed funding, our incentivized packages. All this we will continue to move on. But at the same time, I think if the borders are not open, I think we will continue to sustain Sarawak's visibility. We will continue to build confidence for people to come back. But we will continue to build up these domestic events by having an eye on the SOPs. A lot of events actually can still go on, which we are planning towards the end of the year. Actually, this year, some celebration events, some business events, which will move on. But we need to have an eye on SOPs, all right? So rest assured the government will continue to move on.
So can you give us an understanding of how frequent is our policymakers having conversation about forward planning, you know, as the situation changes? How often do you have meetings and discussion about that?
Oh, we have a very active engagement with the industry players, with the government agencies, and as I have mentioned during my conversation just now, that Sarawak government has actually set up a Sarawak Economic Action Council which is encompassing all these sectors economically and also enabling sectors, where we are looking seriously at the way forward for business events for the next 10 years until 2030. So among some of the plans are increasing the assistance and grant to the business event sector. And for the next 2 years, 2021 to 2022, we'll continue with our incentive packages to encourage more homegrown events and also some incentive package. So that, and one important thing is we have a master plan study coming out, looking at tourism, looking at business events as a main pillar of tourism, and also the other sectors.
Thank you, Mr. He. We really appreciate the fact that you are actually joining us today. Really shows the ministry's commitment to business events. Amelia, over to you. There is a question directed at you. Amelia mentioned that BESarawak is targeting corporate meetings and incentive. Can she explain the opportunities and what are the buyers say? Your microphone.
All right, thanks, Elle. I was saying that I love this question because, for the past few months, we have put a lot of hard work in developing corporate meeting and incentive segment. As over the past 13 years, we have established convention business, and it has contributed to 80% of our overall business, where corporate meeting and incentive contribution is 15%. There's a lot of potential there. So in the next 6 months, there's a lot of projects that we're gonna do that include the destination of marketing, just to focus on corporate meeting incentive, product and services development, what sort of service, just to cater the corporate meeting and incentive, reward program, and many more. That also will include the capacity building for the industry partners. So for the past few years, before the COVID, we do have an incentive group that are coming in, and from their testimonial, they were saying that one of the things that really strike them, that something like once in a lifetime experience for them when it comes to Sarawak, it's about our tribes and the tribal value. I just want to share because this project is very close to my heart. We collaborate with one of the Vida Youth villages, Kosa Madang. We brought all the participants, for kayaking, and it was a surprise arrangement with the local villagers from the Vida Youth tribes. And we managed to get the ring lady. The ring lady is very special. There are only few left in the world. Like if you don't see it now, you will never see it maybe for the next 10 or 20 years. So this group get to see this lady exclusively, and there's a lot of activities, and this is like specially catered for them. So we are looking forward to develop it more, and and once we are ready, you will see us coming back with corporate meeting incentive segment, more stronger, more creativity, and more things to share with everyone.
That sounds very, very exciting. I definitely love the concept of these unique experiences, because now, when one has sort of like financial capabilities, they can buy a lot of experiences, but not every experience can be bought. So if Sarawak can continue to develop new products like this, I'm sure you make Sarawak a very attractive destination. Amelia, I also like you to answer a question from Mr. Chang Guan Chu. He asked, what is the best way to promote and show Sarawak that it's a safe destination to organize business events?
I know the person who's asking. Our Mr. Chu. Well, thank you so much, Chu. The question is very relevant. We need to demonstrate, and after we demonstrate, we need to share. Currently, social media is the perfect platform for us to share the demonstration of our SOP and all other initiatives that were, from our industry and also from our venue provider, and etc., etc. Yeah, and I think that social media will be the right platform, and then to convince that we cannot you know what, we cannot guarantee the safety, but what we can do is that we can make a lot of effort to prevent and to ensure that, you know, all the precautions are being taken care of.
Yeah. I do agree. There is no guaranteeing in anything. I think the best way to manage relationships when it comes to safety and security is about response. How capable are you in terms of responding? So I think showing SOPs in terms of how you respond in certain incident happen, like a delegate falling sick or things like that, will definitely give more confidence to that. Also continuing for a question for a bureau, we've got Mr. Eric Cho who asked, will Business Events Sarawak support hybrid events under the incentivized program if delegates are still conscious about air travel until COVID vaccines are widely available? If yes, to what extent will Business Events Sarawak support these initiatives?
Well, definitely, you know, when we launch our business event incentivized packages, hybrid events is already included, especially in the tribe acceleration and tribe elevation packages. So for more, actually, you know, we offered more. It's not just to support the hybrid development, but there are more support, you know, that are in place. I mean, you know, like my advice is that if you want to find out more and how our support can be catered towards the needs of your events and business, talk to our team. We are, you know, more than happy to collaborate and to explain to you and see how we can put the packages together just to assist you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Over to the our industry association ladies, Gracie and Mark. You're not immune to our audience question. I think we'll start with Mark. Mark, what advice do you have for the industry partners to work together on developing new products together, just like the ones that Amelia described?
Okay, thanks, El. I think to develop a new product together, let all based on the existing product. What we have existing are the CAN program, which is the cultural, adventure, and the nature. But now we have two more elements inside there, which is festival and food. So we will have to wrap up the product packaging by showing people the experience is no more just a very bare one, like probably going to visit the orangutan at Semongok. Or probably we can wrap it up with a cooking session where we can feel it and smell it with the Bidayu people doing some bamboo chicken or, you know, bamboo rice and things like that. So it is the experience. And besides feeling, you can actually know their culture, their ancestor land, the small crops that they are harvesting. So this is a packaging thing that other people have never experienced, but just dry sell the Semongok. So this can be a new package. By developing the new package, we can actually refresh the tour name, which will be suiting for BESarawak. For example, if the conference is going to be in next year, so we can actually do a heritage walk or a heritage trail or brook footprint where people experience walking around. So you're actually activating the five senses: smell, hearing, people speaking Hokkien, Ibans, you know, and Fu Chao, you know, along the way. You can try some Kong Pia, you know, and Kang Pua, beside Laksa and Kolok Mien and things like that. So it's not a very bare city tour or visit the authentic museum and things like that. So we can actually wrap up things that we can actually do together. Yeah. Collaborate with the board supplier and things like that. You know, for
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'm very glad that you are thinking of all these creative ideas. Initially, although I was a bit concerned visiting orangutan and cooking until you say bamboo chicken, because we don't want to let people think that we're cooking the orangutans, of course. We are tribal, but not that tribal. So when it comes to obviously professional development is very crucial, and it centers the heart of a lot of industry associations. So Gracie, I think there was a question specifically on education. Yes, how can professional development help us at this moment?
Thank you, El. It is I think professional development is probably the foundation for us in the industry, wanting to excel, wanting to move on. And it is important that we have the fundamentals in this industry. Business events, as you know, is different, you know. And Marcios, we have had our trainings for the last 5-6 years. We've started the training unit. I'm one of the trainers, where we continually have training programs in business events, in exhibitions, and you know, like, this is ongoing. So it is very important. I can't elaborate more to say how important professional development. You want to do good, you've got to understand the fundamentals, you've got to participate, like similar, like BESarawak, MySep, and even ICA and all the international organizations. There is constantly professional development programs, and we should take that opportunity. We should really go for it, and in fact even have our staff coming in to develop themselves, because as you know, things change, new ideas, new trends, and things that are, you know, technology is one great thing. So it is very important. It will help you be better at what you're doing. It will also show the client whom you're talking to that he knows what he's talking about. I think that's very, very important.
Yeah, I do agree, and I think when it comes to industry association membership, what I learned from Karen Bollinger, who is the current managing director for PCMA Asia Pacific, she said she gave a very good analogy. Industry association membership is like a gym membership. You've got to go to the gym in order and exercise in order to get the benefits. So I think what we want to encourage the audience is to participate proactively and work with industry association, whether it's Marcios, MATA, or any of the other associations that you're a member of, and see how you can help. I think it's a little bit of not give and take, but give and ask. Asking what you can do to really contribute to the overall collaboration. I want to bring the attention back to Bureau and government and policymakers. We have Rusdi, who asked a very, very interesting question. Business Events Sarawak, are you covering the cost of event insurance so that overseas planners feel covered when they're organizing events in our state? Your microphone again.
Oh, sorry, El.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Previously, last month, I think we did a research on the insurance that are available for COVID-19 for the delegates. So far, what we have received is that, you know, the insurance that you can purchase in Malaysia is only covered the Malaysian. However, we have to work closely with our international counterpart, you know, to encourage the international delegate to purchase the insurance before they arrive. Yes, that's what we have currently at the moment. You know, when it comes to the support under the business event incentivized packages, I think, you know, like, to use the funds that are available to cover the insurance, I think that can be discussed, because it also depends on the priority of the event planners, if they want to use the funding they are given for the insurance or for other things that more necessary, you know, like when they organize their event. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Final question, I think it's for Mr. He. Mr. He, I think, you know, through the some of the questions, we can sense that people are still a little bit anxious about the future. So as a key position holder in the state, what advice would you give in terms of helping people with information that could manage their anxiety, you know, because they're still feeling anxious?
Yeah.
Any advice?
Yeah. So as I said before, I think industry players, they really need to look beyond what is now. We need to monitor the situation, but of course, we need really to adapt the new normal. So things that we do would be very much different than before. So try to explore avenues where our business still could continue, like virtual platform, like hybrid platform. As you know, I think Amelia talked about it, we are also supporting hybrid events. So try to explore on that, monitor the situation, talk to the government, we will be listening, and rest assured that we'll continue to engage with the industry, we'll continue to work out packages, incentives for business to carry on with an eye on the SOPs.
Thank you, Mr. He. Wise words. All right, everyone, we've run out of time again, so hopefully we can see you at episode 3. But in summary, this is what it is. It's not just Sarawak is open for business. The government, the policymakers, your industry association, they are open to having conversations with you. So I would say bring crucial information to the table. If you are speaking to your customers frequently, understand what they need so that the state can understand what capabilities we have within the state to be able to roll out progressively what people will need. Obviously, currently with all the uncertainty, situation will always change. But I feel that the best way is to really accept that COVID is going to be with us for a while. I think once we have the acceptance, then we are able to move forward, just like how we are managing with all the other diseases the world is managing at the moment. So be open and be ready. So when you are absolutely receiving inquiries and the borders are open, that you are not falling short when it comes to execution. Thank you once again, everyone, for your time on a precious Saturday. We value your time, and thank you for sticking and supporting the industry. Thanks to our panelists too.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Elle.